5 years ago this month, January, my book, The Happiness Formula, was published. It was an exciting time, and so every year during this month of January, I ask myself, Cassandra, are you happy? It's the question most of us ask ourselves when we really get down to the heart of whatever we're looking for. Gosh, am I happy? And it's what people want when you ask them, what are you looking for? And they'll say, I just want to be happy. I want my kids to be happy. You ultimately, after you get over what job they should have or what degree they should study or who they should marry, in the end, you're like, I just want them to be happy, right? It's a generic umbrella statement. And it's a statement that is very personal. It's very much your decision what that looks like. But the thing is, we don't know half the time. We're like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to make me happy because my mind changes. My feelings change. Feelings are not facts. They are flags to point us to look at something, but they're not the truth. There is truth. It is not relative. There is a truth, and that's part of the challenge is to find that. And that's essentially what the happiness formula is about. 5 years in, after having this book be published, I've had to examine, am I happy? And this year, answering that question, this month, answering that question was a little harder for me because I realized I'd gotten a little stuck in doing that which we tend to do as humans, which is we either ruminate about the past and live in it and sort of lament and regret, or we worry about the future and we fret and we get anxious with this and we try to control. And so whether we're always looking at the future and trying to control it and corral it and we're nervous and anxious about it, or whether we're sorrowful and despondent about the past because we don't know whether we can ever make it better because we're living in those bad moments, we're certainly not present. We are not living in the gift of today and the gift of this moment and the gift of the person that's standing in front of us at the moment. That's really what the whole book, The Happiness Formula, is talking about. But as I reflected upon it, and as I reflected upon, am I happy? And I realized I was getting a little stuck because I couldn't quite say yes. It was because I started ruminating about the past. I had definitely worked on letting go of being OCD, anal retentive, control freak about the future. I had definitely learned to sort of chill out. I have good behaviors that I practice. I have good disciplines that I practice today. And generally speaking, those good behaviors, those good disciplines about my wealth and my health and my relationships, my walk with God, all of those good behaviors, more likely than not, are going to translate into better things happening in the future, at least me being better prepared for the things that I can't control. But I'd let the past go. The problem is I had suddenly began to hold on to the past. I suddenly began to really reflect on it and just feel sad for the ways that my past decisions had hurt other people. And it just began to get heavy on my heart. And so once I realized that, again, that feeling of not being happy is a flag to look at it, I began to look at what is it about that, and I realized that, oh, okay, I had just been holding on to it because I began to take on the identity of the past rather than the identity of who I am today. And I began to hold myself to that one moment. We are the sum of all of our parts. We're not any individual part. And again, we're those individual parts and not. And so my point is, I had begun to get lost in what is my identity, and I began to attach it to sort of one thing in the past rather than sort of all the lessons learned and where am I today. And so therefore, when I ask myself, am I happy? I could say yes. By the grace of God, thank you. I am wildly and ridiculously happy in every area of my life, even amidst not everything going exactly like I had planned. It's just a good thing to know. And so I started thinking about that. And so started again kind of researching around happiness again, and was reminded of books that I've recommended to you all. So I've told you all, go read my book, right? But if you were interested in sort of understanding what does it take to be happy, my book's a sort of a practical guide to happiness. There's a formula. There's a way you can apply the formula to areas of your life. But there's another book that was written 16 years ago. It's a book that I had read by Arthur C. Brooks. This man has written tons of other good books. This book that he wrote in 2008 was a book that helped me a lot because it's the data and the facts and the stats around happiness. What does it take to be happy? What do people practically do? Not what society says will make you happy. What really is it that people are doing, right? And I quote some of his stuff in here. I talk about what do the most successful people do with regard to their health? What do the most successful people do with regard to their wealth? What does the data show? Great book to read, Arthur C. Brooks. I recommend it on my website. You can go to CassandraVitaka.com. There's a tab called resources. Underneath that tab is the bookstore. I get no money off those books. It's just me doing what God designed me to do, which is to read and learn a lot and then offer it to you. And by the grace of God, I get to offer a boatload of it for free. The other book, another person that I follow, another book that's on the website underneath, again, the resources tab, the bookstore, is the book that is 25 years old now, right? Is that true? 26 years, something like that. Dennis Prager, he has prageru.com, another person I support his prageru.com. He wrote this book 26 years ago, and it's Happiness is a Serious Problem. And he talks about really the biblical obligation that we have. If you claim to be grafted into that vine, if you claim to be part of that covenant, that promise, then it is a biblical obligation to be happy. And so, indeed, let's make 2024 a great year because you decide you're going to do what it takes to increase your happiness quotient. So folks, I pray this is indeed a happy, happy year. Shalom.